Yeah, I'm trying to figure out
what's happening at Roger's house.
Yeah, we know we could probably Leonard is pretty. Although Leonard rolls into everybody. We'll start and see where we go.
Okay. Oh, we're recording already.
Yeah, I'm all set.
Cyborg versus robot.
Barely. It's been so long. We usually start like this until you are forced to say
go.
Hi.
Hi, this is 5. Pseudo robot and portable hard drive.
Oh, nice. And I'm Christa, and this is Cyborg versus Robot. Oh, and I'm a cyborg. Look, I already forgot what's happening.
There you go. That is because you have been away for ever. We haven't done this in a while. Yeah.
But it's like riding a bike. Podcasting.
It is. And how are you riding a bike again?
I can.
Yeah.
It's not a direct.
It's not a what?
It's not. It's a metaphor. I'm not actually relating how well I podcast to how well I ride a bike. What I'm saying is that just because we haven't done this for 2 months doesn't mean I've forgotten everything.
Has it been 2?
Except
I don't think it's quite been 2 months.
It's been almost 2 months.
Yeah.
It was early September.
Yeah, we did have an attempt to do a recording when you were in the middle of your tour, right?
But I had too much on my plate.
Yeah, which is fair.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to do...
You've been busy.
I did our last episode. But in between episode 9 and episode 10, yeah. The cuttings from the podcast room floor.
Mm-hmm.
Or the
it's a great episode.
Yeah, it's probably the best episode we've done, only because it's short.
Because it's short. Is your timer fixed?
Yeah.
I loved it because I was in the middle of a folk music conference, which is actually very intense. It sounds like that might be a nice, friendly place to be. And it's that as well. And in being totally overwhelmed and overstimulated, I sat in the hotel lobby and put in my headphones and just looked at the floor and listened to that 10-minute episode, which is this totally weird, hilarious thing. Yeah. And I loved it.
I still love it. I love that episode too.
Great episode.
And it allows people to hear a little bit of our Inspector Gadget episode, which we recorded after one too many cocktails. Well, I think we tried to
We recorded it severely hungover. Oh, but you don't get hungover. I was hungover.
Yeah.
We watched the film quite wasted, and then we recorded the podcast hungover. So I think...
Wait, I need to say something.
Okay.
It's very important, in case my mom ever hears this. That's not true.
Okay.
I had a drink.
You're right.
And I was just very happy to watch Matthew Broderick play Inspector Gadget. That's all.
Right, and watch this Disney family film.
Yeah.
While your friend Christa got loaded.
Right. That's exactly what happened. It's not a lie at all.
But yeah, it's been a while. And so we finally watched episode 10, which is the last episode of season 1 of Real Humans. And we're finally going to talk about it. And we're not talking about anything else, right? We're not...
No, complicating this with anything would have been problematic.
Absolutely.
Although, unless you've been watching any robot-themed movies in the interim.
I haven't. The only film I've seen in the last 2 months was Sharknado.
No robots in that movie.
Lots of sharks.
I did see a trailer for Chappie.
Oh.
The movie with Die Antwoord.
Oh, yeah.
Produced by Neil Blomkamp, I think, who did District 9. Okay. And, it's about Die Antwoord who get a robot. So I'm very excited for that to come out.
Okay, great.
Because it looked like the other movie we were going to do a review of, Automata,
never came to Toronto.
I don't know what happened to that movie.
We're just gonna... Yeah, where did that go? We should look that up.
I read a review of it which said it was quite terrible.
Great.
So, maybe that saved us a podcast. So if you're listening, really wanting to hear that, maybe someday it'll still come. Or not.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
not. The future of cyborg versus robot. We were just talking about this.
Yeah, we were.
Should we tell them now?
Yeah, why not? We'll
It's
do the
not
announcement
over.
right up
That's
front.
the good news.
That is. We've still got season 2 to move on to, although we're going to approach it in a different way.
Yeah, we might do 2 episodes at once. We might just speak about it in haiku. We're going to try and be a bit more succinct.
And maybe a little less recappy, because we've been basically recapping the episodes, which is fun, and we really enjoy it.
We're all recappy all the time.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of work for
Our editors.
for our editors, for a show that no one can see. So,
Except
what?
soon there'll be the AMC / Kudo production.
Yeah.
The English language version of Real Humans, and then people might find our podcast then, and maybe then they'll like it. Maybe then we'll have an audience, because the Swedish version might get some more attention from the new fans.
I hope so, and we could still do. Well, if there is the UK/US version, we can pick up.
Yeah, cyborg versus robot.
Wow, you've forgotten what our theme sounds.
Do 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 do.
Close. But that tune is a song that's going to be on your next album, right?
It might not be.
Oh.
I did.
Wow.
So you're right. Cyborg versus Robot theme song.
Yeah.
Is a little snippet of a song that I wrote a couple years ago that I was thinking of including on my next album. But
So this may be the only form it exists in.
for now,
Right.
yeah, those decisions are currently being made.
A lot of decisions are being made.
Yeah.
I guess this is a good place to announce the while you were away for a month and a half, although we were talking about it on and off, I came up with an idea for a different podcast, which I'm going to be working on.
Do-do-do.
And it's going to be called Pretty in Podcast. And what was the tagline you came up with? Which I really liked.
Nerdy Depths of John Hughes.
Oh, the Nerdy Depths of John Hughes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally going to do that. So because I don't have Christa's company for the month and a half, 2 months almost. Although we did manage brunch once.
In there somewhere?
Yeah, in there somewhere.
Maybe.
Well, we did.
Okay. I believe you.
But that's it. We managed brunch.
Priorities.
And so I've been working on that, researching that, and that's going to start soon.
You've been super researching that, and I don't give anything away now, but I think Pretty in Podcast is already awesome.
I can
give
give away sort of a few things. There's going to be in the early episodes, at least, there's going to be revealed a few movies that people don't know that John Hughes had anything to do with.
Nerdy Depths.
Yeah, including one which came out, which does not have his name on it, which is, you can watch it. And no one should. It's not a good movie. But, we're going to do that, too. And that'll be one of the surprises that you get to
It's very
hear about.
exciting. And I like to think of Pretty in Podcast as a Cyborg versus Robot spin-off.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And,
sometimes spin-offs are more successful than the original series.
I think more people will have heard of some of the John Hughes films than Real Humans. Which, but they'll feed into each other, and
They will, because I will sometimes appear on Pretty in Podcast, and you can't stop me.
No, that's true. You have open door policy. So, I imagine you're just going to pick. You're going to be there for Made in Manhattan, Home Alone 2, not Home Alone 1, and probably European Vacation. Those are my guesses.
Okay, well, we'll see if you're
Those
right.
are my guesses of your favorite.
Those
John
are
Hughes
educated
movies.
guesses.
Yeah.
But we'll just see how that pans out.
Okay. So anyway, we should talk about The Code.
The Code, which originally aired March 18th, 2012. Directed by Harold Hamrell, of course, and written by our dear Lars Lundström.
Yeah.
Who totally favorited your tweet about your ridiculously awesome Halloween costume.
Oh, right. I did dress up as...
Have we put that on the website?
We haven't put it up on the website.
So you dressed up as Odie, but you were blonde, so you were sort of like a Gordon Odie
I realized after the fact I looked more like Gordon.
You were like Gordon wearing Odie's clothes.
Yeah, basically.
Gordon might.
They may be the same model with some variances, and well, I guess they wouldn't be the exact same model, but they may be a similar model.
Mm-hmm. And you looked amazing.
I did. No one recognized me, which is
which is the challenge with a niche costume.
It's a challenge with a niche costume and with a niche podcast. Finding people reaching out and embracing the population. Which, again, when the Humans finally comes out and lasts one season, or who knows, maybe longer, but it's going to be difficult, I think, to gain a foothold unless the scripts are very strong.
We'll see.
But John Hurt, I think, is cast,
That's right.
Yeah. And everybody else, I don't know who. And I don't know who he's playing. I'm hoping Leonard.
Yeah.
But he could be playing Ove's character, or he
Carl.
could be playing...
Well, if he's been announced as a main character, I guess it could be the Ove or Leonard.
Yeah.
So, episode 10 opens with Bee breaking into the... Whatchamawasit?
She's in the sort of headquarters.
Just like whatever military lockup where Leo's been kept.
And she's holding Ove's ID.
Yeah, she's broken in. Yeah.
And Carl's on the phone trying to work out basically how to bring in Mimi.
Right. He's making that happen and getting the warrant or what have you. And while that's happening, he discovers basically the video loop. He discovers how
he sees the little catch.
What's her name?
Oldos.
Thank you.
Oldos.
Has rigged it. Kind of sounds the alarm.
He does this really nice thing with light switches where he flicks them on and off and it alerts Bea, who's in the room, sort of pulling back the sheets, looking confused as well.
Discovering that Leo's gone.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's how Carl figures out that that the loop has been rigged.
So, yeah, and then there's running around, right? And then they discover a dead body on the floor.
Yes.
I thought that was Olda's. I don't know. Who is that woman?
It's just some random person who worked there who Bea killed. But it's when he sees that this person who's been killed with the blue plasma on her fingers that he knows that it was a Hubot that killed her.
Right.
Right? I think that's all. It's just to sort of reveal that, like, Hubots are violent.
But Bea's not bleeding. I don't know where that blue came from.
I thought they did show it at some point later when she's changing or something. I saw it the first time I watched the episode and I didn't see it the second time. So
was that in the episode before or?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, B says, the place is loaded with bombs. You have 600 seconds.
Wait a second. I think I know where it was.
Where?
Was it in the episode before there was like a locker room scene and a woman walked by in a towel? Which would explain why she was naked.
Okay.
Does that seem right? Was she naked on the floor? I don't even remember.
I think she was wearing a lab coat.
Okay, I don't know where that woman comes from. Anyway, I thought she was Olda's.
And it's not Olda's. And rather than say 10 minutes, Bea says 600 seconds until the bombs go off, which is a false threat, but Carl doesn't know that. And then the credits.
Right.
That's our open.
Yeah, which I guess Bea would be using her knowledge of E-Herb protocol to know that he has to evacuate the building.
Right.
That's my guess. But yeah, our credits. Where does it go from here?
Well, after the credits, it's still at the same location. He's evacuating the building, and Bea hacks into the computer. You know what I thought was interesting? So she quickly is hacking the password, and you see her little eyes flicking, and the
she
computer
plugs
happening.
back into her little neck port.
She sees the video how, like the CCTV, how Leo escaped with Olda's, and then she walks into the room with all the binders, and you hear her eyes go like and quickly scan and find the right binder, but then she slowly turns the pages.
Yeah, she does. I think.
And finds the picture of Olda's and finds the contact
well, and I also
information.
don't know where she got that name. I don't know. Never mind.
She somehow pieces it together. She tracks down Olda's, and in the course of the episode finds that Olda's that she snuck Leo out and then picked up Anita and dropped Leo and Anita off in some industrial yard.
Oh, right. Because we don't find that out until later in the episode. All
Yeah.
we see is like Leo just sort of
At
on
first,
the
we just
ground
see him on the
somewhere.
ground. Yeah.
And then
And we see Anita walking Mimi.
Wow, you did organize this a little more than me, which I like.
I'm just kind of as I'm riffing here.
Yeah,
I'm just
no, that's
grouping
good.
shit
That is
together.
perfectly the way we should be going.
Yeah, at the beginning of the episode, we don't know where he is. We realize that Mimi is with him. But later on, when Bia tracks all these pieces down, finds out from Aldous what happens.
Yeah.
Mimi also has a little flashback at one point to illustrate the touching scene of their hands touching through the glass and their reunion.
Yeah.
It's cheesy. And then that's how Bia, in the sort of climax near the end of the episodes, finds Leo at the industrial train
Right.
station, whatever, which we can get back to later.
Well, I'm okay with doing because we learn about this in flashback because we see sort of Mimi coming with her grocery bags down a tunnel and we don't know where she's going.
Her grocery bags, her little takeout of the extension cord.
From the hardware store. But all we know at this point is that she's left the Engmans. But we think it's just on her own. She just walks out because like the cops were on their way, or she heard sirens, or something.
We don't know. But it's because she's been reunited with her love.
Well, yeah.
So what did you think about that? So
well, let's I just want to make sure that we cover that. Like, Olda's got Leo out of the building.
Yeah.
She drove him back to the Engman's house, where Leo goes and taps on the window, basically, brings Mimi out, and then Olda's, I guess, drops them off in this train station, and then she leaves. For no good reason, but then also Mimi leaves to go up to the hardware store, and then so there's a little scene where Leo's on his own, and it's just like, how did he get there? Yeah. Why is he with no one?
Off the top, they're just piquing our interest.
So
once all these pieces come together, and Leo is failing, he's basically dying, his power, his body, everything is falling apart, and they have that interesting conversation where he's saying, what does he say? They need each other, or all they need is each other, that they could escape and all they need is each other. And she says, not me. And he says, you don't need me, and she doesn't answer. Yeah. And I think that's speaking to that she's sort of, now that she woke up at the Engmans, and the thing she said about realizing that she hasn't really lived her life yet, she doesn't know. And that, I think even with being with Leo, she's realizing that she wants independence even from him.
Oh, totally.
Right? So she doesn't answer, which is but then he's dying.
He basically says, if we can't be together, then I'm done. Because he's fine with going off, running off with her and saying, I love you and that's all we need. She says, I need more than that. And then he basically changes tact and says, well, I'm kind of dying, so maybe kill me.
Yeah.
And she's
give me the cable so I can kill myself.
Okay.
Well, he says he wants the pain to end. He's been in pain as long as he can remember. So she...
Do you remember when she connected their wires together?
And they have a flashback.
But Anita pulled a cord out of her and she unplugged the plug and then twisted the wires together. And...
Was it very Avatar for you?
It was a little Avatar for me, but also I'm pretty sure that power doesn't work that way. I'm pretty sure it's one way.
European standards.
Like, if she would have plugged into the back of her port and then pulled that out and connected that, sure.
Right.
I'd buy that.
Okay.
But the same cable that she plugs into the wall?
Yeah.
That I didn't buy.
I guess, I don't know. I'm not.
I don't know. These people are doing.
I thought it was gross when she ripped his flesh open.
Oh, that was kind of gross.
Yeah, and pulled, because, yeah.
Well, they've been saving some money, and they pulled out a few things.
They spent it on the special effects.
They spent it a bit. They did. There's a couple of weird little budget moments where you're just kind of like, why are they doing this? And be like, oh, they have leftover money. I'm pretty sure. So where were we?
So, Carl shows up. Anita runs off. Should we just finish with these guys? She runs off into the back alleys of this place. Carl handcuffs Leo to the train or whatever he's leaning against.
Yeah. I think there's an important part of information that Leo gives to Anita where he says he tells her that the rest of the code is on the hard drive, and that and he gives her, she already has.
Yeah, he says you got the code and everything else on the hard drive. All of
their
our clones, including him.
Yeah.
So he could be cloned. She could bring him back, and I think she says it's not the same. Someone says that.
Yeah.
So she runs off. Carl shows up, handcuffs Leo to the train, and then Bea shows up.
After having them shut the cameras off in the station.
Yes.
So he is...
Yes, that's right. When he found out their location, he asked people to turn off the cameras so he could go in there and...
He's ending it.
Yeah.
Like the...
Without witness.
Yeah. The code is where... It's going to end with this code. He's going to get this code back and then deal with it. And then what else happens there?
While Carl's chasing Anita, Bea shows up. To Leo, and
should we talk about how Bea gets there?
Well, she got Old Oz to take her.
Well, that was rather.
What else do you want to talk about?
Well, that was the part where like Old Oz meets Bea, who I guess Bea calls
in a parking lot.
her.
I know, I don't care. Blah blah blah. It doesn't really make sense.
And talks. Oh, she did mention that Leo refused treatment.
Yeah.
Which, I liked how this episode ended, but it had a lot of holes.
Yeah.
There was a hole in Leo's side.
Ba-boom.
Okay, so I guess that's basically how.
But so Bea's our new villain. She's killed Niska, and she shows up, and dying Leo is like, Mama, and she lies to Leo. She manipulates him and says, Bea. Well, she's the clone of his mom or whatever, right? So she says, you'll soon be with me. He says, help me. And she says, but you have to give me the code. And he says, I can't, I'm not supposed to. And she manipulates him into giving it to her, to giving that piece of information that also Anita's the only other person who has it, Mimi.
Right.
She says, give the code to Mommy Leo, then you'll be free. He whispers it in her ear, and then she kills him. She does the little short circuit for him. Just takes those wires, mushes them, and he's gone. There's another flashback at that point that I don't think it matters too much, except that it shows that they tried to clone David Eicher, but they happened maybe too late because he's dying as they're making the clone happen. Well,
or Mishka didn't want it to happen,
right?
And she did something so that it didn't happen. But we'll never know that.
We'll never know.
Or they'll do something weird, and he'll have somehow woken up and escaped, and we'll see it because we don't actually see him burn up in the fire.
Yeah, we don't see him burn up in the fire. But they sort of through the flashbacks here, they bring us back to what would be the first moments before the very first episode of the series, which is like they've just burned the house and they're all marching off into the woods.
Yeah.
Right. So Bea kills Leo, and then she shoots the shit out of him just to make sure the short circuiting.
I don't think it's just to do the short circuiting.
It's to kill the data, right?
To destroy the tech that's in there, I think, because they said that he'd be really valuable because he'd basically make it possible for people to be cyborgs. And
nothing wrong with that.
I don't know. But I guess I don't know what her motives were exactly, but I guess it's to make sure
just
that
he's going to destroy the model, make sure.
But
he's
it seemed
dead.
very cold.
It's cold, and Carl shows up, pulls a gun on her. He shoots, and there's that nice moment where it goes past her ear, and she just sort of brushes her hair.
Oh, and then she has this lovely "Can I show you something?" moment, and then just starts unbuttoning her shirt down to the waist and opens on our Western Digital hard drive.
Yep.
And she's like, "You can trust me. I was going to give it to you anyway." And if just like, "Oh, I was just hoping to find you.
Yeah.
Glad you showed up."
Here you are. Teases him with it. Ultimately drops it and then shoots him as well. We have 3 deaths in this episode. That's 2 of them. Leo and Carl both get killed.
Yeah.
By
Do
Bea.
you think Bea intended to shoot the hard drive?
To wreck the hard drive? Yeah, she deliberately drops it on the ground.
Oh, I know she drops it, but do you think she intended to shoot it?
Yeah, she knows there's the backup.
Yeah.
And now because she knows the little robot USB out there has the code, and she now
Yeah.
has the rest of the code. And that's sort of where it ends with her. She's in charge, and she's killing people off.
Right. There is, I guess, a little chase scene between Carl and Mimi that happens at some point in between there, but she gets away.
She gets away, and there's also this thing where Jonas and Silas says he's got one of David Eicher's children, and they meet with Carl in a parking lot and bring Flash out of the back of the car with a bag on her head, and Carl's like, that's not the one I want. And so this is still, so, Carl's only other sort of scenes in this episode is that he shows up with all this money hoping that they've ransomed Mimi.
Which he nicely shows it all. Yeah,
it's actually Flash who, in this exchange, once it's discovered that she's not the Hubot that's worth all the money, she runs away. Yeah. Does this crazy flip over the car, which we have never seen any of the Hubots do.
Now, how did you feel about that?
I thought that was ridiculous.
It was, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool that they can do that. But then...
None of them have done that yet.
No, and I watched it again, and all I could think of was, she's in this big, huge, empty parking lot. There is one car in her way.
Yeah, she could have just ran past the car.
Ran past it.
Yeah. But she was maybe, adrenaline. She was a little excited. I don't know. She does this crazy flip over the car and runs off into the woods.
That's why I was talking about budget surplus.
Yes, total budget surplus. And Silas is taken down by the cops that, of course, come screeching around the corner. So Silas is basically out now. And
well, I guess he's just been arrested.
Yeah, he's been arrested. You're right.
And he's still got some value. And
and Flash, you wanted to, so where we sort of see Flash go and where Flash ends at the end of season 1.
Well, she runs back to Silas's place and gathers she digs into Silas's pile of money.
She knows where the cash
is kept. And Kevin is still sitting on the table.
Kevin?
Rick is still sitting on the table.
Right? Is that Rick?
I think it's meant to be Rick.
It's some Hubot lying on the table.
He was basically just turned off.
Yeah, we don't know where that's gone.
No. I don't think he's out of the picture yet.
Interesting.
I guess we'll see. Although this Real Humans, at least season 1, has dropped so many story threads. Mm-hmm. I actually have a list somewhere. Oh, I'm going to see it.
Yeah, how's Therese? How's Pilar?
Yeah, let's see. A few of the things that they dropped. They dropped the Jane Timglass murder. She murders a person, and they don't even that never comes up.
Nah, I'm okay with that.
Not even as an aside.
Right.
They dropped Hubot Heaven, completely gone.
Oh, right, in our Rachel character,
they gave
we
us
were so excited about.
Yeah, I mean, they do all of the unlocking of these Hubots. That's been dropped. I wish we saw more of Apollonia, who was just in one episode.
Oh, Jonas's first girlfriend.
She was great.
So great. She tweeted at us too. That was nice.
Yeah.
Love you, Ape.
These are very little small pockets, and we're not getting enough external things. And she was one thing that was really great on the show because it was like, oh right, there's the rest of the world exists, and there's not a lot of that. So I missed her. And what do I have? Solveig? What do I have her written?
Well, because we haven't seen more of her. She dashed off. We had that morning where we didn't know why she had to leave suddenly, and she made up a story about her dog. That's the last time we saw her.
Right. And Beau.
Yeah.
Just
Pilar and Beau.
Pilar
What's up
and
with
Beau.
them?
No idea.
But maybe we'll see more of them in season 2. But you're right. There are a number of characters that we don't know where they're at. Maybe we'll see them again. Maybe we won't.
But I did feel like they needed some closure. A lot of those, maybe not the Apollonia, but I feel like
you personally need some closure.
Even just some acknowledgement that they happened in the world. Somebody, even if Carl just in passing mentioned to somebody what's going on with that case with where the guy was murdered in that hotel room,
right?
Or some photos or something where somebody, even just on a board in the background where you're like, okay, somebody's working on that. That's happening.
Yeah, it's nice because all these little pieces are nice threads of the story, but when you see them just kind of disappear, it's It's unsatisfying.
Like,
Because it seems like it's this nice, complex, woven story, but then when it starts to kind of fall apart, it's a bummer.
Yeah, or even the Rick's model going off and
Right, getting...
raping people in the woods and not... There's no recall notice, nothing like that. We talked about that.
We did. So where's that at?
There's a lot of, like, I feel like they set up this world.
I know, I can't wait to see season 2.
Yeah, maybe it's solved in that, but we're not getting a lot of that here. Anyway, that was me going off.
That's good.
But Flash gets her happy ending.
Well, we think so.
She gets the best ending of any of the characters.
That's true. As far as where everyone ends at the end of this season,
her arc
she's
has
doing
been
well.
good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anybody else has a good arc. Like, anybody ends in a better place than they started.
Okay, you're right.
I think only Flash ends in a better place than she started.
Because what party is she at? How did she know to show up at this ball or whatever is going on? She gets the cash from Silas's little workshop.
She gets
the
the
next
cash from
time we
Silas's
see her, the woman is wearing like a Disney princess gown.
Which is exactly what she would buy.
Totally. And she's standing at the end of a long path that goes towards an enormous house, and she meets a handsome gentleman.
Right.
Gustav. His name is Gustav.
I have guesses.
Okay.
She does. We know she reads magazines, and I bet she reads tabloids. And
Some kind of announcement of some socialite party.
Which she would have just decided this is where people go.
Yeah.
Like,
and they wear gloves, and I'm gonna get myself a gown.
Right.
And stand outside until someone gets me in.
Right. Like, I think it could have just been as easily like a high-end restaurant or a Hollywood opening if she was in the States.
So she's basically just crashing some party she heard about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they're setting that up so we'll see how she arrived next season. But that seemed... And she's Louise now. Yes.
She adopts being Louise.
Although that seemed coy, so it seemed like...
Yeah, she might actually reveal her name. But she sneaks into this party on the arm of a handsome fella, and that's the last we see of her.
Yeah. Looking happy.
Looking pretty pleased with herself.
Yeah.
As she should be.
Absolutely. And he seemed a handsome man, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, no, he was.
What was his name?
Gustav.
Oh, there we are.
It would not be an episode of Cyborg vs. Robot without the sirens.
In the background. So I guess, the only thing we missed in that sort of line was that we did see a bit of Jonas Boberg trying to sell...
Yes.
He was the one who sort of set up the deal between Silas and Carl.
Yeah, so he's still around. He's still badly burned.
I feel like that was the kind of... He was just a reminder, like, he's still...
They're keeping him in there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Engmans last. But meanwhile, Roger's house.
Yeah, Roger's house. Again, one of those weird storylines where it's just like, I forget the relevance of what's happening. We know Roger was very relevant up until the bombing of the Hub Mart.
Yeah.
And then he still remained relevant while Bea was sort of staying with him.
Yeah, and there was this interesting play of him being challenged by falling in love with a Hubot.
Do you think that because he's
such a weak guy.
He is, but he does end up saying to Kevin that when Kevin finds out, because I think that's basically how their storyline starts.
Yeah, Kevin discovers Marilyn in the basement, and then he hears Fred and Gordon
looking
through the kitchen cupboard, and he goes, wakes up his dad saying, like, dude, you got Hubots in your house.
Well, fucking Pac-Mans.
Fucking Pac-Mans.
So Roger says he thought she was a human, and then there was a pack of them. Yeah. So do you believe him?
No, I think he's saving face after the fact that he's saying he had to play along.
Yeah.
She made me. I'm so fucking alone.
He does explain why, because Kevin asked the very obvious thing, which is, why didn't you go to the police? Mm-hmm. And Roger just says that he's just done a lot of bad things, which we know what they are. And Kevin is thinking...
Kevin turns around fast and says, listen, we could sell them.
Yeah, they're going to be worth a lot of money. Like, that will solve your problems.
So they then go on this sort of hunt in their own home where they manage to shut down Gordon. And I think they must have shut down Marilyn, although they don't show it. Or she just charging quietly.
I wrote down about that, but Marilyn, like, she's basically set dressing at this point.
Oh,
She's
come in.
Yeah.
Do you want to be on our podcast? No, quietly squeaked from the back.
Yeah, she's been set dressing for the last 10 episodes.
I know, she's a odd extra.
Did she have any speaking lines this season?
She laughed. There was that one episode where she laughed at Niska's joke. And I think she might have said one word once. I'm not sure.
I'm curious to how she got the job. Or were they doing, when they did the first episode, they realized they needed so many to look like a kind of a pack. And then I just imagine that there was somebody on set and they were like, we're just going to dress you up.
Maybe.
And they give her the weird colored contact lenses that no one else has.
Yeah. Maybe something is still going to come of Marilyn. But so...
I would not expect her to be in the next season.
Really?
She's done nothing. If you were an actress...
Except that she's always been there.
I suppose so, but...
so she's sitting in the basement.
I don't even know if
Gordon
or... Well, Fred is not going to be in the next.
No, and then they in one solid swoop, Kevin knocks Fred's head off, so they can't sell him anymore.
So how does
they kind of go through this ridiculous, like through one window and in another, and then they confront Fred, who's saying, "Hey, I'm on your side. We can talk about this." They knock his head off. And how the episode ends is with Kevin and Roger sitting in the front hall of their house in chairs, staring at the front door with their bats, their baseball bats on their lap, like ready to attack. And I think they're waiting for Bea and Niska to come back, because as far as they know, they left together.
There was a lovely little callback when Gordon was turned off, when they were when they pushed Fred inside the bedroom and locked him in, and then Gordon had the "What are you doing? What are you doing?" It reminded me of Beau right before.
Oh, right before he got shut off. It's a stressful moment for the Hubots.
Yeah, right before Teresa, who is not in this episode. Again, she's another person that she's just
Kevin's mom somewhere.
Gone. It just reminded me of when Beau was turned off, and he was just like, "No, I'm sorry."
Yeah, and Gordon, same thing, was like, "Fred." Yeah. And then what I thought of, because they lock Fred behind this door, which Fred just then bursts open, which I thought is Small Wonder. We know that robots can break down doors.
Do.
We learned from Small Wonder.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
So that's where they end off in this episode. Kevin and Roger holding court, ready to be on the defense.
All that I noticed, because I've been trying to watch, as you know, I've been watching the background to try and find things of interest.
Like the fridge magnets and the postcards?
Did you see some fridge magnets and postcards?
Yeah, there was a really nice...
I saw nothing.
There's a really nice set deck detail. I was thinking that when there's a shot of Gordon and Fred after having ransacked the kitchen, they're standing in the doorway and next to the fridge, and on it are a couple of magnets and a couple of postcards, which I was like, who's mailing Roger postcards? And one's like a carrot.
Well, they could have been to Teresa.
Do you think they're just old? Oh, really? Or they might just be leftovers from when Teresa lived there?
So, because Teresa has friends. Roger may not.
But I liked that little detail on the fridge.
The only other thing I noticed was when Kevin and Roger were sitting with their baseball bats across their laps. At the end of the show, they were having coffee and eating the Jules Cone again.
Oh, really?
The little strawberry marshmallow Santas.
Oh, nice. So in some ways, the show is brilliant at keeping things together.
Yeah, but I mean, this is supposed to be November and December.
Is it?
If it's by when those candies are sold, yes. Or they just keep them around a long time. But there's no snow. It is not cold out. So
does it snow everywhere in Sweden?
I have no idea what the weather patterns are like there, but I would think
it's
snow.
a tropical country, isn't it?
Yeah, it's around the equator.
I hope so, because when I return to my homeland.
When you go there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, February is a great time.
I mean, we've been talking about this tour we're going to take our listeners on, the guided tour of Sweden, and you promised that I could, you said I would get a tan.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We're going in February. That's when we're going to go, because it's the nicest to visit Sweden.
Right, it's like Australia? It's like it's actually summer there.
Yeah,
great.
Summer there.
Okay. February 20. Should we book this for 2016? I think we're gonna need
Yeah,
some more time
we're gonna
to
need.
plan.
Well, we want to watch the second season, so we have more locations.
Yes,
to hit.
and we're gonna want to give our listeners time to save up and book time off work.
I did try to find some more of the locations in this episode.
Oh, did you?
I really wanted to find that parking lot.
You're all about the parking lot.
I want.
It's a whole day on the tour. There is a whole parking lot day.
I could not find the one where Flash does the flip.
Okay.
I thought I got close because there was a little sign of an electronics brand.
Okay.
And I thought maybe they had a factory, but I could not find it. So I did find.
You might find it by February 2016.
Unlikely, but I did find. Well, we're gonna get to it very easily because now we just have the Engmans
and
left.
Ove, a little bit of that guy.
And Ove, but do they overlap?
They overlap.
They overlap. So we'll talk about them all together because we can. So I guess we open their part where Tobey, Inger, and Matilda meet on the street, and they're
they've been searching for Anita.
Yeah.
And they come inside, and there's the tension with Hans because Inger is like, we've been looking for her, and he's like, I have been here in our house with our youngest daughter who's asleep.
Because they accuse him of not caring
about
Mimi, and he's like, you might want to remember we have a daughter who's asleep upstairs. So
a child.
Can't leave her alone in the house, and maybe you should think about that.
And then the police show up because...
Did you notice there's a scene where Matilda's like crying on the counter, and there's like a little teardrop at the end of her nose?
Oh no!
Yeah,
she cries a few times in this
She does.
episode.
She's very sad that Mimi has gone missing, and she's really worried about her.
Yeah. Because Carl successfully orchestrated a legal search or whatever, the police show up saying they're looking for the Hubot unit and that they're going to search the house.
Yeah.
They tell Hans to collect their daughter, and they kind of show their guns, and the Engmans are all gathered in the foyer while the cops search the house. The cops then get the phone call.
Well, if you want to know, the cop's name is 3356.
That's his name?
They only refer to him as 3356. And yes, a number can be a name. So I think that 3356 is his name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't argue with that.
No, I can't argue with that.
And 3356, and I think this is a nice detail, his suit is covered in lint.
Oh, really?
It is covered.
I didn't notice that.
Oh, it looks really terrible.
That is a nice detail.
I liked that detail because it's just like, oh, these are not agents who have worked their way up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they get the phone call about kidnapped, and Hans wonders why they aren't actually looking around the house, even though they have permission. Standing there with their gun.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
I want to mention that Sophia, she gets pulled down from her bedroom, and then she asks why the police have guns because they've shown them now, like in this menacing way, and Hans gives them this disappointed look, like which Hans has been so great at giving those dad looks,
total dad looks,
and
I
he
love
just
him so
brings
much.
them down with that. And Tobey calls them sissies.
Yeah, under his breath. Well, because she says, "Why do they have guns?" Sophia asks why they have guns. He goes, "Oh, they're policemen. Policemen carry guns." And teenage Tobey under his breath, he goes, "Sissies."
Yeah.
Concurrently, we see a shot of Leonard in his little woodsy house walking down the stairs to get the paper.
Oh,
and he collapses and is taken to the hospital.
Yeah. I guess we knew this was coming.
We knew this was coming. After the cops leave the Engman house, and Inger has the thought to call Ove.
This is after Hans has left, though, right?
Is it? Yeah. So you're right.
Because after the agents leave,
there's people with guns showing up at our house.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. I'm taking Sophia.
Yeah. He basically says to Inger, you've made us suspected criminals, and now our kids have been held at gunpoint. Not quite true, but so he decides he's just going to take Sophia, take her to a hotel. Yeah. And he's off because they have their own little adventure.
They have a little adventure. Before that happens, it's set up that Inger will meet with Ove. Actually, Inger, Tobias, and Matilda meet him like at a library.
Yeah.
And when the first shot of Ove is that he's stuffing cash into an envelope, because we know that Niska and Bea bought him basically, right? They said, like, when they wanted his pass and his keys and what have you, they said, well, so they've clearly given him cash for that.
Well, whether they didn't really give him a choice.
No,
but,
I guess so.
They gave him the money, which he we see him with the envelope, which he ends up handing off to Inger
saying,
to
"Can you
mail
get this to
his
my family?"
Yeah.
Because he sees that the cops are coming and he knows he's going to be arrested, because he knows he gave his pass to Bea. He understands the consequences that are coming. But they have this little talk about Hubots, and he's saying people need to know the potential of their life form, whether they're machines or a new life form.
Yeah.
And he relates, saying that, you know, he worked with a Hubot and didn't know, and that and then he pulls out, we need to have this transition, he pulls out the little keychain USB stick saying no Lego brain would give such a thoughtful gift, which I was like, is that the first time we've heard Lego brain? But he's saying, you know, she was thoughtful, she gave me this gift.
I think we heard Lego brain once more before.
And he ends up giving the USB stick to Toby, which is important.
Do you think a USB stick is an especially... Well, no, not a USB stick, because he doesn't know that.
It's a keychain.
Do you think a keychain of a robot is an especially thoughtful gift? Because to me, it seems like a robot giving a person a gift that's a keychain of a robot.
Well, they work in eHerb.
It doesn't seem... It's just like, oh, it's this person's birthday, I have to get them a gift. Here's a gift. But
I think that's more thoughtful than... I think he's saying she gave a gift. Do you think machines would think to give a gift? But of course they could be programmed too.
I don't know.
Just, you know, he thought it was nice. Let's let him have that.
Okay, sure. But I have like calendar alerts set for people's birthdays,
right?
And
because you're also a robot.
Oh, that's great. I forgot. That's true.
So but which means you have a valid point, because you're speaking from experience that just the act of giving something to someone on their birthday does not mean you have feelings. Yeah, and I'm like, it seemed to imply that he thought that the choice of gift was especially thoughtful. You're right.
And I guess we go along with it.
We go along
so
with
sure.
It. And he leaves with the cops that show up, kind of without any protest. He gets up and
he does think Leo is still being held at...
Yeah, he says that Leo's still being held, because last he knew that's what happened.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
he does, and he lets Tobe keep the robot.
Yes, I mentioned that.
You did?
I did. Are you not listening to me again?
Are you saying things? Wait a second.
You are going to host Pretty Young Podcast on your own just fine.
Yeah, it'd just be... I wonder if I could make a clone of myself, upload it to a hard drive, which I have. I have the hard drive, so I know it fits.
Yeah. You're right, that's right.
It fits me and 6 others on a 1 terabyte, which is sad that I'm only
that's
about
all it
a
takes.
fifth of a terabyte.
You can be boiled down to a fifth of a terabyte.
What is that, 200 gigabytes?
Yeah.
Wow, that's sad.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That's what makes you sad in this world.
Yeah, that's what makes me sad. I have a lot. I have a lot more than 200 gigabytes to offer.
That's not even a half hour of television. 200 gigabytes, is it?
You can compress that shit down.
Can you? Because a film is often like 7 or 8, unless it's
megabytes. I'm talking gigabytes.
Oh, we're saying gigs. Yeah, listen to me.
So that's...
I'm like, is that a floppy?
That's a lot of hours.
What are you talking about? You're right. You're like, you're... Okay. I don't know. I mean, that's like a couple seasons of something.
Yeah, it's a couple of
seasons. I think you're about equal
to
a couple seasons of...
Like so anyway...
Like an HBO series. Like, I think you're like a high-rated...
Like The Sopranos?
Yeah, I think you're as valuable as...
Buffy?
The storage space of all 6 seasons of Sopranos. Or
okay. The Wire? Well,
let's not push it.
Okay. I was wondering where my limit was.
Sopranos, yes. Wire, no. That's where I stand.
I'm gonna accept that assessment. I think that's probably true. So after Ove gets taken away by the eHerb, or other eHerb guys, or the Secret Service guys, I guess they would be, We get to
Hans.
Hans driving
Who adorably is experiencing a GPS failure.
Well, I did find out. So I was trying to find out what hotel he was going for.
Okay.
So because they drive by a sign that says Stockholm's Auktionsverk, which I did find. And Hans is there trying to find a hotel, and I was thinking, how would you end up in a shipping yard
When it's your city that you live in.
Yeah, and think that you are near a hotel.
Yeah.
So I looked it up.
But he's following his GPS. That's how they explain it.
He's following his GPS.
But what did you find?
There is a floating hotel on a boat that's docked kind of around there.
Oh, really?
Which it's not that. So I said they're probably looking for the Scandic Hotel Ariadna. I can't read my own writing, but it's a skyscraper hotel.
Okay.
So it's a skyscraper hotel. It's pretty nearby.
Know. It's a kind of a weak.
But you'd see
a weak device to get him. Oh, it's kind of nearby. So we're gonna stay there.
It is nearby. It is nearby. Yeah, we should totally stay at the hotel
that's where we'll hold the conference.
Yeah,
when our tour grows into a conference.
So it's not so ridiculous that they are where they are.
Okay, you're right. So he pauses to sort of look at the GPS and figure out what's gone wrong, and we realize this is the neighborhood where Odie and what's our Chuck Norris spot? What's his name? Luther, where they work, like near Silas's studio. I
no
honestly,
longer with the support of Flash.
Yes, Flash is gone. Every time I see Odie in that outfit, like, I lose my shit. I can't
It's
even.
ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous, and it's so funny in the fucking construction, the hard hat and the collar. Every time, it's so funny.
I'm gonna dress like that the next time I see you.
I think so. You might get a bit more. Oh, next time you see me.
Yeah, I'm just gonna show up for brunch like that.
I hope you do.
I might. You never know. But while Hans is looking at the GPS,
do have the wig.
Sophia just gets out of the car and goes to run towards Odie. And Hans runs after his daughter, as he should, and is trying to explain that it's not him. When Odie says,
"Hello, Hans."
Hello, Hans.
And then Hans has a sort of confused but encounter with Luther, where he agrees to rent Odie, and Luther says that the back door has been opened.
Yep. No pictures, no damages. Be back in an hour.
Yeah. She has to show his ID, so Luther knows who he is.
So he knows where he is and where he lives. So I'm hoping that Luther shows
up at the Eggman home.
Even though Silas is gone and Flash is gone, so it's just Luther on his own.
Yeah.
After this. So while this happens, Vera calls Inger and I guess lets Inger know about
the heart attack.
And
so
we have to assume that Inger calls Hans.
Because they all show up at the hospital.
Yeah.
And there's a nice reunion between Leonard and Odie.
Although, take off the hard hat and the collar.
No, why does
Is the hard hat still on?
The hard hat and the collar and the handcuffs, they're all still there. Why
just leave them in the car?
Even just maybe the collar, maybe they don't have the key, but the hat could come off.
You have to assume if the back door is open, when you hire Odie for an hour, he's taken some of these things off.
Absolutely right. But they leave it on, and it's just so fucking hilarious.
It is.
And he comes in.
Nobody comments on it either.
No one.
Like
and Leonard just looks up. Leonard does not look surprised. Leonard goes, Odie.
Yeah. And Odie calls Leonard Silas at first. And then that gets switched.
He gets switched.
And then he says, "Hello, Leonard. Do you want lasagna?"
Yeah,
and everyone laughs.
You almost expect like a freeze frame. You know what there's on YouTube somewhere? Did you see it? There's a compilation of every time lasagna is mentioned in season 1.
No.
Yeah, there is.
But I want to see that.
Yep.
And when I find that, I'm going to play the audio right around here so that we can share it.
Good.
Salut Lénard. Tu veux des lasagnes? Tu veux des lasagnes? Est-ce que tu veux des lasagnes?
Et je veux des lasagnes. Lasagne, c'est non. Commencez à préparer les lasagnes.
Des lasagnes. Des lasagnes une fois par semaine.
Il y a un plat de lasagne une fois par semaine.
C'est bon, merci. Il mange des lasagnes avec les anges.
Such a great clip.
He does make Leonard does make Odie and Vera shake hands and make up.
Yeah,
And,
and then everyone leaves the room, and while Odie is sitting at Leonard's bedside saying, "Do you want to play cards? Do you want to build ships?"
Well, they do. There's a little scene in the hallway where the doctors are talking about.
Oh right, the clonage.
The clone book with. Did we know it was Leonard Solberg? That's his last name.
Oh, right.
It's
So
written on a
Hans
little
is
manual.
Engman. So okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Odie and Leonard talking about playing cards, building boats.
Do you want to go fishing? And while that happens, Leonard dies.
Yeah.
And the monitors are beeping and zeroing out, but no one comes rushing in because apparently no one's watching. But Inger comes in and discovers that her dad has died. It's a very touching scene.
Yeah.
And
She pushes the call button.
And starts to cry.
It was a really sweet scene, and it was
It's a
actually
very
very
sweet
nice. I'm not sure I could have forgiven the show had Odie and Leonard not gotten to say goodbye.
Yeah, it's nice that they did. The next time we see Engmans, they're at home. They're sitting around the kitchen. There's another lasagna joke.
Because he's in heaven there.
Because Sophia asks if he's in heaven.
I did, you know what I wrote down for you?
What?
Because I thought of you. I was like... Cause,
Heaven makes you think of me.
Because Sophia asks if Hubots can go to heaven.
Oh, and you thought of the Coco Love Elkhorn song? No.
No, I thought of all Hubots go to heaven.
Oh, very good.
That's all. Like all dogs go to heaven.
Yes, so I expect to see that.
Yeah, well,
I expect to get a 1 a.m. Facebook message with that.
You may get that.
Doctor
you may
image.
get that. Yeah.
Any day now. So that's our third death, by the way, Leonard. We lose 3 characters in this episode. The Engmans are sitting around. They're mourning. Hans and Inger have a bit of a reconciliation, saying this hasn't really been thought through.
I'm glad you're staying.
Yeah, thank you for staying. Thank you. So I think they're gonna work it out. Yeah. And they hear. Oh, and Tobey goes into his room and he's playing with the little
robot
keychain and discovers that it's a USB stick.
Yeah, and he
plugs it into his computer, and at the same moment, someone comes into the Engman's house.
Yeah, and
and it's Anita. Mimi. She walks in the door and she says, "I've come home now." Inger says, "You have come home."
And then there's a little pan off
over to the computer.
Over to the computer screen where we see the code zipping around, and then...
And no one knows.
Yep, and then cue the music.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of our show.
Yeah.
That's the end of season 1. So,
yeah.
So other than the dropped story threads, who died during this?
Leo Leonard Carl.
Who else did we... I guess we saw the death, we saw the death of David Eicher.
Yeah, we think he's gone. We think that he died. The clone was unsuccessful, and the house was burned down.
We lost Fred.
Yeah.
We lost Niska.
Oh, yeah, I guess Fred was killed in that. Niska was killed in the last episode. That's right.
We lost Max.
Max is gone.
Who else have we lost here?
Well, the other rogue bots, like the one who was hit by the car in the first episode, and the one they buried in the woods, but we never really knew who they were.
Yeah, we didn't know them. Malta.
Yeah, Malta.
And who was Silas's partner?
Oh, yeah.
Magnus.
Magnus was killed.
No, that's not Magnus.
No.
Magnus is the colleague at the...
Yeah. Leo, the one that Leo killed.
I can't remember. I can find it in my notes.
Sure, a lot of people have been killed off.
Yeah. So, how would you rate the season? Like, if you were going to say... Because there was a little while ago where... I guess under the Cyborg versus Robot guys, got into a little Twitter...
Oh, you did.
Twitter war
a little
with...
heated conversation.
With... was it Two Black Geeks? I think
so.
And
that's their Twitter handle.
Yes, and you should check them out. They say some interesting things that I don't know, but they were talking about that they thought the remake of Real Humans was going to be a terrible idea because of exposure bias, basically, which is the first thing that you see is going to be the thing that you think is the best and the thing that you can compare it to. And my thoughts were that, well, I think that's largely true. I think there are things like, did you ever see The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
Yeah.
The David Fincher version, the English version?
No, I didn't see the English version.
I liked that
more.
I think I don't know if I liked it more. I think the Swedish version was very different. But
I think sometimes remakes, if they find their own voice, it's usually better than if they're a regurgitation.
It found its own voice. It was very close, but I mean,
right, 'cause it's based on the same.
It's based on the same book, but I preferred the David Fincher version,
right?
Like objectively,
right?
I preferred some of the acting in the Swedish version, and I preferred some parts. But anyway, my point was that Two Black Geeks believed that the English remake was not going to be a good thing, and I thought it was going to be a good thing.
Well, we don't know.
No, we don't. It may be a terrible show, but I think either way it will steer people.
The producers have a good track record.
They do. Did you see Life on Mars ever?
The British?
Yeah.
A couple episodes. Was great.
Yeah. No, we won't talk about the
And
American
you know
one.
what classic film John Hurt is in? Beaches.
Oh.
So we know he's great.
Yeah. And Doctor Who.
Is he?
Yeah. He is the War Doctor in Doctor Who. So I don't think he has a number. He's not considered a numbered doctor.
I see.
Which is strange. But yeah, anyway, so for the whole season, if you were going to grade it.
Okay, so this coming back to your Twitter conversation. So,
Well, because talking about the remake and my thoughts are that this show, I loved the Swedish version, but it has a lot of problems.
Yeah.
A lot of story problems, a lot of like drop threads. I know there's at least one scene where in one of the earlier episodes where they kind of rewrote.
They've done that
what
a couple
happened.
times.
And you're like, I know that didn't happen because I saw the last episode.
Yeah, and we watched it twice.
And we watched it
so
twice.
we noticed these things.
So we know that what you're showing me now didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
I think, I can't think of any concrete examples, but I think there's one with the Malta, I think maybe coming to the door.
Yes.
Happened.
And then they replay it again.
And it's different.
Yeah. And also the times that in the church where the robots are charging.
Right.
And they replay that scene when, I loved her, Osa.
Right.
Comes across Niska. Yeah. I'm
yeah,
sad
so
she's gone.
those happen differently. You're sad that Osa is gone? Yeah. Although Ava is still around.
Well, Ava did show up again when she kind of ratted on the robots. And
it would be nice to see her again. I'm hoping that they find a way to use her character, whether or not it would make sense if she joined like the Real Humans movement, which that also got dropped.
Yeah, where's the Real Humans movement? We have so many questions.
Yeah,
Season 2.
I know they can't do a lot in a single season, but there's a lot of.
Yes, you can.
I was trying to be.
You're trying to be nice. Okay, so rating the first season.
It's not a perfect show for me, so
I would still recommend it to people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. At the end of this podcast, don't watch it. Whatever you do. No, I still really like the show. I like the ideas they explore in it. I like this whole how are we living with technology? What is it to be human? Especially now, Tara sent me a little video clip of this new household robot that's being made. I think you might have tweeted about it. Do you know though? It's called not Jody. Hold on.
I do know the one of which you're speaking.
Do you?
The sort of the
it looked
domestic
like a little
helper
round
robot
guy.
Yeah, I think is it the one that's being used as basically a companion?
Jibo. My Jibo. Have you seen this one?
No, we will share that on the Cyborg vs. Red Robot website.
But it's like it functions almost like an iPhone does. But it's now this little robot. So I mean, we're facing these questions in...
Oh, you can pre-order now. I haven't seen this clip.
No?
No.
I thought it was maybe the thing you tweeted about.
This is your house. This is your car. This is your toothbrush.
Oops. Hold on.
These are your things. But these are the things that matter. And somewhere in between is this guy. Introducing Jibo, The world's first
cute.
family robot. Say hi, Jibo.
Hi, Jibo.
Oh my gosh, he sounds like Odie.
Jibo helps everyone out throughout their day. He's the world's best cameraman. By intelligently tracking the action around him, he can independently take video.
This doesn't
and
look like a
photos.
real thing.
Do you think it's not a real thing?
No, it
And be
looks...
a part of the scene.
Jibo, take the picture.
They had a crowdfunding campaign that was wildly successful.
I mean, it
He's a
seems...
hands-free helper. You can talk to him, and he'll talk to you back. So you don't
It looks
have to
like the
skip a
Hubot
beat.
commercial, doesn't it?
It does.
Like that English.
Keep it going, keep it going.
Oh, we're not done.
We'll link to it, but we'll just use this
Just
audio.
sent a reminder that she's picking you up in half an hour to go grocery shopping.
Thanks, Jibo.
So it'll
He's
read
an
your
entertainer
text.
and educator. Through
Oh, I like
interactive
that.
applications, Jibo can teach.
Let me in, or else I'll blow your house in.
That's a little scary.
Hey, where'd you go? There you are.
He's the closest thing to a real-life
Oh
teleportation
my gosh, I
device.
so want one.
It's weird when they're showing his perspective because I feel like that's humanized, super humanizing.
Oh, they're totally doing that.
I wish you wouldn't eat that.
Hey, they make turkey pizza? I want turkey pizza.
You precocious little child.
See, that scene is how I'm going to do Christmas with family.
But you don't want
Welcome
turkey
home,
pizza.
Eric.
No.
Hey, buddy. Can you order some takeout for me?
Sure thing. Chinese, as usual?
You know me so well. And even be a great wingman.
You have a voice message from Ashley.
Ooh.
Want to hear it?
Absolutely.
He said ooh.
Hey,
Wait, all
call me when you're home.
Better
Sexy.
make that takeout for two, Jibo. We've dreamt of it for years, and now he's finally here.
Number
And he's
5
not
is alive.
just an aluminum shell. Nor is he just a 3-axis motor system.
I like how they showed super.
He's not even just
Short
a
Circuit
connected device.
and the Jetsons.
He's one of the family.
Is that oh, socks.
Ashley came
I
over.
was like, there should not be.
Jibo. This little bot of mine.
I'm gonna let it shine. So this is real. Oh,
Actually treated
here's
you
the creator.
like a human being. What
Wow.
if technology helped you to feel closer to the ones you love? What if technology helped you like a partner, rather than simply being a tool?
I kind of
That's
like.
what Jibo's about.
Do you?
That's why I created this company. And I've got the right team to do it. People with a proven track record of bringing innovative technologies and exciting content to market. But now,
Or
we need
this
your
is-
help to build Jibo, to bring it to the world, and to grow the community.
Do you know what the music
Let's
sounds like
work
to me?
together
It sounds like
to
the
make Jibo
music
truly
from the game
great.
Sims.
And together,
Yeah.
we can humanize technology.
So this is for their. So you can pre-order, or it's part of their. So their
They
Kickstarter
have-
campaign was successful.
Yeah. So.
So this is now we're in the pre-order stage. How much does one cost?
You want one?
I want to know
It
how
was
much
actually
one costs.
really the campaign when I looked at it is really cheap. So they had almost 5,500 supporters. Indiegogo.
Yeah.
They raised over $2 million.
Yeah.
They were going for a goal of 100,000, but it was $600 for a one early adopter Jibo robot, which is less than an iPhone.
I would assume that is.
Oh no, there's another 700.
Developer edition and
Yeah. It's all sold out.
developer upgrades. So probably looking around like $800, and then a retail price is probably double that.
I guess so. So my point being that these are current issues that, as far as how we
I'm
live
excited.
with technology, which is why I like Real Humans, because I like how they talk about those ideas, like how do we interact with these things, and we, can't help but humanize them because that's
Right.
what we do. So I
Cool.
think, but we're rating the episode like what, out of a number,
Or a letter, whatever you want.
a letter.
You can rate it out of what you want, and then I will use that scale to.
I would give it, of course, in my head, I'm now quoting the film Beautiful Girls, also classic. Good solid 7.5.
7.5.
Or an 8.
I am going to give it.
I'm gonna stick with 7.5.
I'm going to go a little bit higher and go with 8.
Yeah.
I think I don't think I've seen a show like this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to forgive a lot of its flaws. And they are still... See, things they kind of cancel each other out. Odie's outfit versus Flash's outfit
Right.
cancel each other out for me.
Right. Yeah, there's enough perks to forgive the holes.
Marilyn, her entire character, and then who's useless character, and then you have Apollonia, who
so brief,
also
so lovely,
but also a very she was a character brought in for one purpose, not really useful for the whole show, but I liked her character so much, so they all kind of balance out for me.
Yeah.
So it's just the plot holes and the no one investigating the murder.
Okay, that's it.
And the Hubot Heaven
but
being
there's
gone.
still a second season for us to see, so we don't know how this is gonna.
So I hope we get
out.
back.
I'm super excited to see.
So speaking of that, we're gonna go with the next episode. Will show up when it shows up.
Yeah.
We got stuff to do.
We do.
In the meantime, you can
Twitter,
Cyborg versus Robot. And Facebook, same thing. I don't know whether this will happen before the next Cyborg versus Robot or after, but you can, if you want alerts on the Prettium podcast, you can find that on Twitter and Facebook as well. And I think that's it.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Oh my god, we did it.
We did the whole first season.
Yay! High five!
That was 10.
That was 10.
That was 10. I'm sure people... They could hear both.
Well, then I didn't know where to look.
It's the magic of audio radio. We'll do it. We'll have 5.
Okay.
There we are. Woo, that was louder. Okay, we're done. Oh, and not bad time.